And we call it Advaya, non-two. So oneness is all about that, getting back to the source, which is complete oneness. There cannot be a second thing there. How could you go to do a second thing there? You cannot. And if you do something very different also, I have no problem, but it's against this. You are destroying the phenomenon. The phenomenon is not my property or your property. It is the divine's property. It is the divine. We are all servants of the divine. That's why we call it Adasa, a servant, who helps the phenomenon go along. It's mankind's property. It is in response to the prayers of millions of people all over the world, probably for centuries. This kind of work should have happened 2,000 years ago, but something went wrong, it did not happen. 2,500 years ago, it should have happened, something went wrong. The Buddha had similar problems. His dasas, his monks had left him once because he had to pull them up. When he pulled them up, they asked him, get out. My dasas are better. They didn't ask me to get out. They tried to only push me out. He was asked to get out, and the Buddha walked away. You know what the people did? The people said, we will starve you to death if you don't bring the Buddha back. And what did the king say? He told the monks, I'll thrash you all if you don't bring the Buddha back. And so they brought back the Buddha. And Buddha lost valuable time. And there's a guy called Devadatta who was all the time giving him problems, saying, please make me your successor. Buddha said, I'll give to a dog but not to you. Buddha never named a successor. There are no successors for this kind of work. How in India you must know I am worshipped as God. In a single state there are 1,000 temples. There are people in India who know no other God. There are children who know no other God. So in India I am a God. How do you succeed a God? They want to be successors. How could you succeed a phenomenon? Is it possible? It can't be ever done. That is the problem. These are the realities. Can I tell you all those things? How is it possible? You must look at the work. The teachings are mine. What you experience, the courses are because of me. We're doing so much. Look at the miracles all over India and the world. That's what you've got to see. You have to stand by the phenomenon. You must be concerned about mankind. If you have passion for mankind and humanity, these questions may not arise. This never arises in India. This arises in most countries of the world. Why are we wasting our time on this? Why are we preoccupied by this? We have to get going with the work. So I please request you, let us bury this. It's not going to take us anywhere. We are going to get nothing out of this. It happens every day in India. 2 months ago, when Dasa from the West, he came and said, Bhagavan, I cannot resist the West anymore. The razzle-dazzle of the West, it is paradise because they have not been exposed to the West. And he said, please forgive me, Bhagavan. I want to go and enjoy the West. It's fine. Many years ago, I sent some dasas outside India. They all got settled in the West. The West is too much because they've been leading an isolated kind of life. When they go out, it's too much. A week later, another dasa came and said, Bhagavan, the world is too much. A week later, another came. In India, people just take it. That's all. 3 acharyas left long ago. One acharya told me after 14 years of no academics, Bhagavan, please allow me to go to Berkeley. I want to spend time with the Nobel laureates and others, see them all. I want to enjoy it. And then after 14 years, she wrote to Berkeley, and Berkeley picked her up for a PhD course. And she studied in Berkeley. It came out in flying colors. Now she's doing service for the poor. This is a regular feature, this is. Nobody ever talks about it in India. They came, they worked, they were loyal, they were loving, they were kind. The time has come, they have grown up, they want to leave. That's all there is to it. And of course, when sometimes you leave, you have to get a story. It so happened that these people are in the West. And I'm not blaming the West. The West has its own ideas, its own way of thinking. Probably they look something terrible has happened. So what do we do now? Are we going to lose this time? Every day we are losing time. So my request to you is, please bury this. This is of no consequence at all. This is a phenomenal response, as I told you, to prayers of millions of people for thousands of years. Let us work with the phenomenon. Become teachers. We have slashed the course prices. What would cost you for $10,000 or something to go to a Fiji and come back? I don't know how much it costs Italy must be $3,400 or $4,000, will cost you a mere $600. That's all. And a powerful course you will have. Become trainers, become teachers, carry on the work, become independent. You must stand on your own feet. That's what this oneness movement is all about. So please let us not go into this anymore. I have been speaking a lot about this. Valuable time is being lost. But if you still want, I will talk. You still want clarity. So now shall we move on to the third question?
Okay. Thank you, Bhagavan sir. Is it possible that there can be a difference on opinions between people with a higher consciousness?
You see, two people might be the highest consciousness, yet they could have completely different views. Take the example of Buddha and the Mahavira. Both were giants. Both are worshipped after 2,500 years as truly enlightened people, great masters, enlightened beings, even sometimes as God. They were contemporaries and lived quite close to each other. They had completely different views on many matters of spirituality. Very, very different views. They never even met and spoke to each other, but both were great enlightened people. So you are assuming that as though enlightened people have the same view. Not at all. In recent times, you had Ramana Maharshi and Sri Aurobindo. They differ dramatically. But they were both mighty enlightened people. There are so many enlightened people in India, they never agree on a single thing sometimes. Where is the problem? And recent times, the West might have known of U.G. Krishnamurti and J. Krishnamurti. They knew each other, both were enlightened, but never saw eye to eye, diametrically opposite. What is this concept that enlightened people or people in higher states have the same views? The only thing is, people in higher states of consciousness will not quarrel. That's all. But how do you know that they are in enlightened states? How do you know? And I'm not claiming to be in an enlightened state. Probably we're not in the enlightened state. It's only your assumption. So it does not mean, even if you are enlightened, we'll be holding hands and dancing in the streets. No. That wouldn't happen. Have you seen enlightened people dancing in the streets? Have you ever seen two people? It doesn't happen that way. It's all your assumption. You have strange ideas of enlightenment and awakening. You think an enlightenment person will be very calm, very sweet, and very soft. No. You have not seen them. The Buddha used to get angry sometimes and used to use a loud voice. It's called the lion's roar sometimes. You have not seen people. You only assume. You have not seen enlightened people in India beating people with sticks. There was an enlightened man called Seshadri Swami. He has beaten people with sticks. You know why? Because they were throwing stones at Ramana Maharshi. Have you heard of him? Ramana Maharshi? Ramana?
Yes.
Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Yes. So some people are throwing stones at him, and this enlightened man called Seshadri Swami used to beat up people violently. He used to go into shops, take away all the foodstuff in the shops and keep distributing to people on the road. Nobody questioned him. They never asked him why you are taking from the shop and distributing. You enter cloth shop, distribute all the cloth to people. And the shopkeepers, they welcomed it. They knew it's an enlightened man who's taking away all their property and distributing it. Nobody questioned him. Strange behavior though. So there was a very famous enlightened person in India. Very shocking if I tell you that. He used to carry his own excreta on a stick and keep walking. How strange that is. And because people used to steal his excreta and eat it, because they became prosperous. Same things are there. So you have very different ideas of enlightened people. The enlightened people are quite angry. Have you seen the old sculptures of the Buddha? He has a turban and a moustache.